Right, just some news reaching us from Sky Germany, and it's their understanding that Arsenal are keeping an eye on the situation around Leroy Sane and new contract talks at Bayern Munich. Sane is in talks about extending his deal there beyond its current 2025 expiry, and he's understood to prefer to remain at the club. However, the forward played for Manchester City while Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta was assistant coach there to Pep Guardiola. This is interesting. Kwaku, would Sané be a good option for Arsenal?
Be a great option because we saw in the last couple of seasons at Bayern Munich that he can not only play out wide on the right-hand side, obviously taking some minutes from Saka, who has to play a lot of football for Arsenal, but also can play centrally in the number 8 position as well. So he's developed his game since he left City. At City, he was more of a pacey wide wing. I remember Sterling on one side and Sané on the other, but he's really developed his game, he's evolved. He did struggle a bit last season in terms of goal scoring, but he's a player that has a lot of quality, is Premier League proven as well, and will just add depth to this Arsenal squad. And we've talked about it in terms of strengthening when you're in a position of strength, and that's what Arsenal have been doing this summer. So the Sané move or link makes sense. It's whether they can get it over the line, like you said, the player prefers to stay at Bayern Munich, but if he surplus the requirements there, then he'd be another great addition to this Arsenal squad.
I think he's shown, like you said, he's consistent, really, isn't he? Although he maybe had a bit of a dip last season, in the Premier League the first time he was here, he averaged a goal or assist every other game, which is pretty impressive considering how young he was when he was at Manchester City. And stats are pretty similar since he's been at Bayern Munich, and the way he's linked with the likes of Harry Kane as well, very impressive. I think the big thing for Arsenal is more depth in those wide positions to give the likes of Bukayo Saka a bit of a break, because more than ever, there's more games in the calendar. We all know that. So I think to have more options, more depth to match Manchester City. You know, we know that Manchester City won the title by a point. It's marginal gains at this point. Could Sané be the difference? Potentially.
I think that's what Arsenal have been looking for the last few windows, really. It's been sort of the last thing they've tried to do in every transfer window. Can they find that option on the right flank to be able to rival Saka, but probably somebody who's going to deputise for him when he's not fully fit? Because there's been times last season when you thought Saka's hanging by a thread here. He's playing every single minute for Arsenal because he's been so good they can't go without him. But they do need that depth in wide areas, but in terms of direct options as well. We know what Leandro Trossard did last season, so impressive as an impact sub and also starting matches as well. And Sané has that ability to play across the forward line, can play centrally as well. So I think it would make sense for Arsenal if they could sort out a decent fee for him and not be paying over the odds for somebody who did have a really disappointing campaign last year, as did the whole of the Bayern Munich side, aside from Harry Kane with all the goals he scored. But no league goals after October for Sané shows that it wasn't the best campaign for him. But Mikel Arteta potentially could be someone who can revitalise his career. And we know just how brilliant he was when he was so young at Man City.
Arteta, like you guys mentioned, worked with him at Man City, and I think the perception of him in this country is still a young player, but he's very experienced these days. And if you look at what Arsenal lacked in the Champions League, was that experience, that know-how. He's got that now, those seasons at Bayern Munich at the latter stages of that competition. And so if he was to come into this Arsenal team, not only would he bring in that relief for Saka on the right-hand side and that depth in the midfield as well, he'd bring experience to this Arsenal team that have yet to win a major trophy in this iteration, and he's won major trophies at Bayern Munich consistently. I don't know why you're smiling.
Kwaku, did you enjoy saying that Arsenal have won no major trophies? I wasn't doing anything. Nothing to do with me.